Okay, my name is Don Antonsen. We just did a video on personal protective equipment, but I never got a chance to show you what it looks like. So this is how I would dress if I was going to go out riding. Helmet, I like an open face helmet, protective goggles, protective gloves, high-vis vest, long pants, boots over the ankle, and that's what I would be wearing. But before we start riding, we have to do a pre-check of our machine, because these machines can go 80 to 100 kilometers an hour. You don't want to be 50 kilometers or 30 kilometers out and have a problem with your machine. So it's important to do a pre-check of your machine. So I'll take this protective equipment off and we'll go over the procedure for a pre-check. So they got an acronym for doing pre-check, and it's called T-clock. And this is T-clock. T stands for tires and wheels. C stands for checking your controls and cables. L stands for checking your lights and electrics. O is fuel and oil. And C is your chassis, your drive line, and your suspension, and general nuts and bolts in your machine. So this is the acronym you want to use when you're doing a pre-check. If you follow this every time, it's a good acronym. Okay, so we're going to check the tires first. And an important thing with tires, you have in your toolkit is a flat repair kit. And I always carry an air pump. Bicycle pump's fine. The tires on an ATV or a UTV is 5 to 8 pounds PSI. A bicycle tire is 30 plus, and so is a car tire, 30 plus. So there isn't much air pressure in an ATV tire. Okay. So if we're going to check the air pressure, they got special gauges that are just for low air pressure tires, and this is what a low pressure air gauge looks like. In order to check the tire, you take the cap off, and you stick the end on there. And you see it barely moved, but it's around 5, so it's pretty good. And I would check all my tires, but usually just looking at the tires, you can see they all look pretty round. They don't look flat, so they look pretty good. So I want to check the general condition of my tires. It looks pretty good. Make sure my nuts and bolts of my tires are all on. Give them a little pull to make sure they're not loose. I do that with all my tires. Just go around and give them a little kick, pull, see what they feel like, see if there's any problems. Check the nuts and bolts on them. Okay, everything looks pretty good. So my tires look okay. And the thing with these tires, if you get a flat tire, it's important to fix it right away. These tires are worth about 150 bucks a piece. You can run them 20 kilometers, 30 kilometers on a flat tire, but it wrecks the tires. And sometimes it wrecks the tires and the rim, and you're looking at 200 bucks. So the best thing is to check it beforehand. If you do get a low tire when you're out riding, fix it right away. And make sure you bring a little kit with you. They're cheap, you buy them at Walmart. So the next thing you want to check to make sure that your machine's going to operate properly and is safe and everything else is your controls and cables. So, you got your brake cables here. Look and see if they're not rusty, and then you got your throttle cable over here, have a feel on it, see how it feels. Feels pretty good. The other brake cable feels pretty good. Your brake down here, it feels good. Everything looks okay. You want to check on the underneath the machine at the back here. There's a couple cables. One's for your brake, going to your brake. The other one's for your transmission. Just have a look, see if they're in good shape. If they're broken or whatever, just check them out. Right? So once you've done that and everything looks okay, you move on to L, T clock. L. So L is your next, which is lights and electronics. Well, here's your key. Turn it on. Looks like all my electronics have come on. Usually they have, it tells you Honda, tells me my fuel levels, everything's there. Right? My controls are here. Kill switch, starting. So I'm going to start the machine. I usually start the machine because the lights take a lot of juice. So I'm going to check my lights. I'm going to turn on my lights. Just have a look. They're on. High beams work. Low beams work. Off. On. Always drive with your lights on. It's just a safety thing. People can see you from a ways away. The other part of the electrics is you want to check under here. This is where your air filter is. You want to check your air filter. I'm not checking it today, but and your battery. There's your battery. There's a few cables in here. You never know if rodents get in here and eat these things through. Make sure that they're all connected. Right? They look all connected. They look pretty good. Everything looks fairly new. Another thing that the Honda has, which, well, most machines have, is a pull start. And here's the pull start here. Maybe just pull it out just to see if it's going in and out. So most machines have that. So you've checked your electrical, your lights. Now you want to check your oil and fuel. Well, your fuel's tank's right here, and this is your fuel. It's in here. I can see there's fuel in there. And if I turn on my electric here, it tells me right at the bottom here if how much fuel I have. And a good rule of thumb when you're riding is 1/3 of a tank out, 1/3 of a tank back, and 1/3 of your tank in reserve. So if you start out and your tank's at a half, you're not going to get very far. If you don't want to, there's 4 dots there, there's 4 things, so if you already start with only 2 left, you got to make sure that you can make it to wherever you're going and back. So if it takes you one of these squares to go out, make sure you got 1 square to come back. Pretty rule of thumb, but the rule of thumb is 1/3, 1/3, 1/3. 1/3 out, 1/3 back, 1/3 in reserve. Right? This tank, this is electronic edition, so it doesn't have a reserve tank. So whatever it says on the gauge, that's what it does for you. So you've checked the electronics, you've checked the lights, you've checked all the cables. Now you want to check your oil. These machines, the engine oil is checked right here. Take that off. The dipstick's right here. You can take it out. There's oil there. Make sure you put it in. And make sure when you take these out and put them back in, make sure you tighten it enough that it doesn't fall out along the trail or something like it rattle loose. Like tight enough, I mean not tight where it strips, but tight enough that it's not going anywhere. Right? You've checked your oil. There's transmission oil in the back. There's a place to check the transmission oil on this side here. In the back. Here. So you want to check your transmission oils. Your rear end oil, there's a little screw examination hole or whatever you want to call it at the top that you open up and you put your finger in there and see if it's transmission oil there. So you've checked out your machine. And another thing is, how does it sound when you start it up? Does it sound good? Does it sound bad? Does it sound rough? You know, you should know your machine and how it sounds, right? So the last thing is your chassis. You want to check your chassis because last time you were out, maybe you hit a rock or something broke. Maybe you sheared off one of these bolts or whatever. Just give it a quick check. Maybe these bolts or one of these bolts are loose or whatever. Just look around, see if you see anything loose. You know, just quick look around, pull on a few things, make sure they're not loose. Just a visual inspection of all your nuts and bolts, how your chassis looks. Make sure that nothing's hanging there or loose. Same with the front end. You want to check everything in your front end too. So you just reach in there. So your chassis and everything's ready. Everything's ready to go. You're ready to go on an adventure for the day. We've gone over your pre-trip checklist. So now you're ready to go and have an enjoyable ride. So that's my talk today on a pre-work. Is that good?